everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the B3 podcast. I'm your host, Brett. I got Matt GPT and Tanner the Head with me. We have our show partners, Elite Nutrition. Check them out at elitenutritionomaha.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off. Go to the store in Omaha or Lincoln and yell B3.
Get a free shaker.
We also have Rosewood Block. They make the best cutting boards and barbecue, fully customizable. Check them out at rosewoodblock.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off there as well. And it is barbecue season.
Definitely.
At least here. Mm-hmm. Maybe not in far North Dakota. I don't know what they're doing, but
Montana's probably still under snow.
Actually, I never stopped. So
no. True.
Yeah. We also have Omaha Barbell, the real Midwest mecca of strength, where we almost always record from. There's no free shakers and there's no discount code. Just a swell time.
Swole time.
Swole time.
Oh, there you go.
Like opportunity missed.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Way to catch that, chat.
Yeah. It's the worst. I think we should talk about what we were talking about earlier. This whole everybody's having their big stock market dilemma.
Yeah.
I don't. If, like I said, if you're not, I saw like a financial guy, which there's financial guys on every side of everything, you know. But if you're not retiring right now, and we'll talk about that too. But if you're not retiring right now, or like a millionaire, like day trader, the stock market on a daily basis does not affect your life unless you're trying to pull all of it out. There's going to be ups and downs at all times. I don't think anymore the stock market, in my opinion, is like a direct reflection of what the economy is going to do, because we all still get up and go to work in the morning.
The direct reflection is of what the media is trying to make you feel. That's the direct reflection.
The media on both sides is very good at making you feel
a certain way. But if you just do yourself a favor and pull up your stock market app on your phone and then go to the 5-year stock market,
there's ebbs and flows the whole way.
There are big dips in 2022 and 2023, and you never heard CNN say the sky is falling, because it wouldn't be beneficial for CNN to say the sky is falling when there's a Democrat in office. CNN is also saying the sky is falling right now. The stock market is still higher than it was at the end of 2023, beginning of or towards 2024. It is fine. It is it's an emotional game. People buy and sell based on emotions, right? So,
well, even like we were talking, even with retirement, like even if you are retiring tomorrow, you're not pulling all of it out at one time.
Well, and I hope your money is just not in a bunch of high risk stocks if you're retiring tomorrow. I hope you have moved it to smarter. Like if you have your number that you want, I hope that you've moved it to a safer interest bearing account instead of a wild west stock market. And just for the record, when Trump was elected, I said that the stock market is going to have a problem for the next year. There's going to be a problem. I was like, the dollar in your pocket will get stronger. The dollar in your retirement will get weaker. And my whole contention was that when you're if we're going to let's just say they want to cut $1 trillion of waste out of the government. Mm-hmm. That's $1 trillion of extra money that goes to a lot of companies, right? That is now out of the economy. Yeah. We have just removed $1 trillion from the economy.
Yes.
Through contracts, contracts with Boeing or waste contracts or all that US aid or whatever, right? There's money that is just leaving the economy. Well, it's going to affect the stock market. But on the same token, when money leaves the economy, it makes your dollar in your pocket stronger because you have less of it. That was the problem with COVID and all the COVID money that was just sent out to people, is that we put too much currency in the market. Some of it has to come back out to make your dollar stronger. That's why your dollar got so weak. We have to have less of it.
How does that? So I understand like if you're printing money, that's going to make your money. Like when they take $1 trillion out that they're not spending, like that money is still.
Well, when you run $1 trillion deficit, you don't have the money.
Right, but so that's why you're
printing money every year.
You're printing money,
or every month, right? Because you're short.
Either way, if you run in a deficit, the only way that you pay for that Like the deficit, the budget's always balanced. It's just whether or not you can pay for it with cash or you have to print the money via debt.
Sure, if that's what you want to call a balanced budget.
Well, essentially it is when you look at it that way. It's still
we're
it's
just
still
$37 trillion on the wrong side of it.
right, because the budget's balanced because like you are going to pay for it one way or another, right? It's either we take money and we print money, but like so when that $1 trillion comes out, where does it go? Right, we're just not printing the money.
We just don't have to print it.
We just don't have to print the money, and that's how the dollar is going to get stronger.
Yes, because you're just going to have less currency.
Yeah, there's just less in circulation.
Well, actually, I shouldn't say it's coming out. It's just not going to be spent. It's not really there to begin with because it's going to have to be printed. So there's no extra money that's going to be going in.
Well, so the way I look at it is like if they're not spending the money, it drives the price of goods down.
Right.
Because there's the supply and demand. You know what I mean? So if I'm not going to Tanner's store and buying anything, well, he's going to have to lower his prices or a grocery, whatever. They have to lower their prices somewhat to get people, you know what I mean? Then his distributor, and it kind of falls down. So you can drive the price of goods down. So it basically makes the dollar worth more because there's less people spending it. And that's kind of an easy way to look at the value of money. And that's kind of how stupid money is and how it, you know what I mean, how it changes.
Well, and it's all make believe anyways.
Well, yeah,
there's
it's
no
all
standard.
Yeah, it's all digital. I mean, like everybody wants to talk about crypto. We've had digital currency forever as soon as they went to debit cards.
Yeah.
As soon as they used computers and debit cards where, you can no longer go to the bank and just say, I want to pull the $1 million out of my account. They're like, we don't have that here.
So it's crazy because it's not even a ton of money that if you go to the bank, they give you like a questionnaire of what you're spending it on.
Yeah. I think like here in Omaha, like
$5,000 or $10,000.
Well, I think
it's
if
not
you were,
a lot, I don't think.
I think if you want a massive amount, I think you have to go. Is it First National downtown? I think you can go down there, and that's where because that's their like headquarters, I believe, and they have their.
Yeah, but they're like, well, what do you
just want actual cash?
Yeah,
over a certain amount. Because I think if you go to any branch, like a small branch, I don't think you can get over a certain amount of cash. They don't even have it on hand.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they have a large amount, but I don't think they have like hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash.
I've wondered, because I know like when I had to do the wire transfer for the Bitcoin to get the money over there, they were like, well, what are you going to spend it on? I was like,
none of your business.
I want, like, it's mine.
They ask you though.
Yeah, and they're like, well, we have to put something down. I just say stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, stuff. Like, that's what I'm going to spend it on. It doesn't fucking matter because it's my fucking money.
That's the thing. That's why they've wanted, because they can track all of your purchases and they can watch where the money's going.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that was. I was reading. Well, actually, I was having Mr. GPT read to me about fractional banking, which is the banking system that we have here, which I generally kind of understood it, but didn't fully grasp it. And so the fractional banking is just like the banks are only required to keep some like super low percent, like 10% of the money that they say they have, they actually have to have on hand.
Right. Yeah, so it's typically ranging 3 to 10% of their transaction amounts based on deposits. They have to keep that amount.
And so then they can take that other 90% and they can loan that out to other people who can then do the same thing. They have to keep 10% of that on hand, and then they loan out the rest of it. So like it's just this huge waterfall, which is what was like ultimately like the Great Depression issue. Like if everyone goes in and they're like, "Hey, I want my money," they're like, "I don't have your money. Yeah. I gotta go get it from Tim."
I lent it to Bob.
Yeah, and then Bob lent it to Tim. Tim lent it to Susan's. Like you have to go down that whole train.
Yeah,
yeah, and that's why I think if you like here in Omaha, I think if you're doing a big one, I think. In your first night, like I think you have to go downtown to the main branch. Yeah. And I think they hold. I wonder
if you like.
But I bet
I would imagine that it's a law that you have to tell them, like you have to give them some answer.
They all ask,
but like
I don't know why.
But if you, just,
but I think you can just say something fucked up. You know what I mean? Like just like
stuff.
Just I'm going to Vegas. Just coke and prostitutes.
Dildos everywhere.
Yeah. But so I would
your
assume,
label maker.
Yeah, and the label maker for sure.
I would assume.
I want that shit back.
I would assume. What do you think? Like 50 to 100,000 they would keep on hand, if that.
I have no idea.
I honestly have no idea what they would have.
I mean, I guess I probably have 100 because that'd be a 10% of deposit. That'd be like $1 million in deposits.
Yeah, but you're talking about everybody for that whole day.
Well, but if you're talking like in Omaha, like say like I bank at Wells Fargo, well they have like how many branches around Omaha? You know what I mean?
I mean, I honestly, really.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, and it's probably going to fluctuate with people bringing cash in throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's your ATM? Your ATM's got to have like at least $5,000 in it, if not more. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird.
But anyway, yeah. So.
But yeah, I think the market stuff is interesting. Like for me, because I'm still in a super aggressive investment position, like I'm cool if it wants to go down.
Well, that's what we were talking about before. So when we were talking about your retirement and whatever, you're not pulling in, like I have like a Roth IRA, and I don't know the investment days. Like I have one with like Edward Jones, but like Tanner and I were talking, if they pull my money on like the 25th and if it gets invested that day, I don't know if it's actually that day, but if the market's down that day, I should be super pumped it's down because I'm getting a larger percentage of that stock share than I am if it goes on a day where the market's up. Like, I mean,
the one thing that hit me listening to one of these other podcasts was talking about like it is when due to like inflation over the last 100 years or something has been, I don't know, 6-7%, something like that. And the market average is just a little higher than that over the time period. So really like the market isn't increasing your buying power much. The market is just keeping up with trend keeping up with inflation.
So when you pull it out, then
you're not losing money. Like if you put the money under your mattress, you're going to lose buying power.
Right.
But if you invest in the market and it goes up, at 7-8%, you're over a long span, you're keeping up with inflation. So you're not losing buying power, but you're really not gaining buying power either, which I think a lot of people who invest, like I did for a long time until like really probably like 3 or 4 months ago, till I heard someone say that, was like, oh, I'm gaining buying power. Like I'm making money on here so that I'm going to have more buying power when I retire.
Well, and you can, like some people do.
Yeah.
Right. But on average.
On average. Yeah. On average.
Because you have, for everyone that makes a gazillion dollars in the stock market, someone loses.
Yeah. It's like casinos, right? Casinos pay out some like 93% of the money that they bring in, but it goes to like 5% of the people.
Yeah.
So.
Dana White.
Well, and the market is not, like you said, a direct reflection of the economy. Because like we were talking, look at the GameStop guys. You had a bunch of people in a Reddit chat, basically go in and crush a stock, or blew it out of the water.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that GameStop is a valuable business.
But that's also because the people were screwing with it.
Yes.
The people on the other side. And that was the beauty about the GameStop.
It exposed the market.
It exposed the market, but it also exposed that the little guys, if you get enough of them together, can fight the big guys. Right? And it showed them that it could happen. I love
like watching some of the analysis of the algorithms. And like they were trying to understand the algorithms, because like that's what happened. It just was this algorithm waterfall. Like once it hits this certain tripping point, the algorithms, like those AIs out there, were like, oh shit, we need to buy or we need to sell, whatever it is. And then they start doing it. And the other one's like, oh shit, look what they're doing. We need to start doing it. And so then it just starts this big cascade because everyone's running similar programs. And then that's when they were like, whoa, hold on a second.
Yeah.
So it just showed how fast it can eat itself.
Right.
So yeah, don't look at this market trend and be like, oh, the economy's going to shit. Like I
kind of look at it like, oh, sorry, Tanner, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the economy is way more than just a stock market, right? There's a lot of things to the economy. Understand that if the stock market crashes, which I was hoping it would, like more so than it did, I'm still hoping it just keeps going down. And the reason why is because interest rates then go down.
Well,
right,
it's been super inflated for some years now.
Well, if interest rates go down, then we can refinance our debt as a country. People can personally refinance their debts, and you can refinance your debt as a country. And then bond prices go up. Like there is a bigger game to this. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Like say what you want about Trump. This stuff, these deals, this tariff, this thing with China, this is what this man lives for. He lives for the deal. Like the way you live to lift weights, or you live to shoot guns, or you live for whatever makes you like wake up in the morning, this is what he does. And you can see it working. You have 70 countries coming back, including the European Union, that says, oh no, we'll 0 for 0 with you. Sorry. Like they all talk tough for like 10 seconds. They all get on, they all want their mic drop. Like, you know what? We're going to do this. And he's like, okay, do it. Like, you don't think he's already thought about that? The United States has 25% of the world GDP. Mm-hmm. They make between 35 and 40% of all purchases.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry. We're your biggest customer.
Yep.
The world's biggest customer. as Kevin O'Leary, and I don't know why they keep why the left.
Kevin O'Leary shredded that lady because he was basically like, fuck China.
I want
he's like
400% tariffs now.
Because he's like, they fucked me on so many deals because they're part of the World Trade Organization. They don't follow any of the rules. He's like, they steal intellectual property. He was like, fuck those guys. Like, I don't know why they thought Kevin O'Leary's gonna be like, this is a bad deal.
Yeah, and they keep putting him on TV, and I'm like, keep putting him on TV. He keeps shredding all of you.
And I know some people don't like Kevin O'Leary. You know, he's got his nickname, Mr. Wonderful. You know, and it's the same thing. A lot of people don't like Trump. They didn't like Trump before. You know, like, oh, he's gone bankrupt. We know we don't need to get into that whole thing because we've talked about that before. But like, even on his worst day, he's a better businessman than 80% of the country.
Probably
that thinks they know everything.
Yeah, probably more than that.
You can't tell me he doesn't bounce these ideas off of his cabinet members who are successful people. Someone like Elon, who's very successful in business. And I know Elon's had some back and forth with, what's that guy's name?
Everyone?
No, just recently. One of the guys with the tariffs. He got into with him about the tariffs. I can't think of the guy's name right now.
So, yeah. So the beauty is that when you talk to Elon, right? So when Trump's talking to Elon about tariffs, right? Elon is coming from a person who has to bring goods in from other countries to build things, right? So you do have a balance there. It's not just, it's not just like you have both sides of the coin, which is nice because you're going to be able to talk through stuff. Because Elon's like, I'm okay with tariffs, but like, give us a year to figure it out, right? And Trump's like, well, you got like 30 minutes, and then they probably meet somewhere in between which is why all the tariffs, all the reciprocal tariffs, I think got a 90-day pause except for China, right? Okay. Because it's not just the tariff. It is the fact that it's a negotiation tool, right? So we can either bring more business back to the United States if the tariffs go through. More stuff has to be done here. We have to buy more local stuff so we generate our economy more. Or you're going to bring in a shit ton of money through tariffs. Those are the two options.
Well, yeah, and it's not like the initial idea of this, in my view of what he's doing, none of this is about the tariff money.
No.
Like the actual income of the tariff money. It's to get the deal down to like no tariff. It's not about like he wants to collect the 100 and whatever percent tariff.
He'll take it.
Yeah, but that's not what he's in this for. He doesn't want the money. He wants it to be nothing.
Well, what I think he wants is he wants to create the best economy in the United States.
Yeah.
And the best economy in the United States is a balance between any goods coming in, right, are going to be taxed if they tax our goods. So we're either going to be able to sell more or tax the goods coming in, right? We're either going to be able to produce more or tax the goods coming in. One of the two things are going to happen, but you have to push it. You have to push it forward to make that happen.
Yeah, and we're not going to make everything here. Production is not going to be. We're not going to make plastic hairbrushes here. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to make like all the shit that China sends over here that we get from them. We're not going to produce it here.
But they shouldn't be in charge of every medicine in the world.
No, I'm not saying. But some people are just like, we need all these things from China. Yeah, we're not trying to like shut down fucking China as an ally of as far as products. We're never going to try to make the little green army men. You know what I mean? Like but we want to make it a fair across the board.
But China's not the only one that could do it. Like all the Vietnam.
Well, no, but I'm just saying is the U.S. isn't going to make. All right, let's be honest. But there's a lot of these things and people can talk shit all they want to. Slave labor will continue in other countries.
Right. The thing is that like for me, like if you lose some of these things, part of our problem is that we just have too much to buy. You know what I mean? We spend like people are like, well, back in the 50s, you could live on one income and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you had maybe a TV. You didn't have 9 in your house, right? You didn't have all this shit to buy.
The expected standard has gone up. So now like my standard is an 80-inch flat screen. It's not, this 40-inch.
An 80-inch flat screen in your living room and then another one downstairs and maybe one outside and then maybe one in the kitchen and one in your bedroom and one in the guest room. You know what I mean? Like, we just have so much more stuff to buy. I don't think that if we don't have green army men anymore, that our world's going to collapse. So maybe we just don't have some of the trinket bullshit.
Like some of the arguments I've heard of like figuring out how to produce in the U.S. the things that we need.
Right.
And then the things that we want, like those can be outsourced.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was my whole point. We're not trying to make everything here. And I think people are like, we're not going to make I don't think we're trying to make everything.
No.
Trump, I think, wants to make high dollar things here, high value things like the chips and
Cars.
Get the cars going again. He's not trying to fucking, make all this other shit. Now you have like those independent companies like Origins and whatever that are they're trying to make American made boots and jeans and whatever, all the other shit they make. Yeah, I don't think Trump's going after that. He wants industry here that's producing large value goods.
We need medicines here. We need chips here.
Chips,
right? There are things that we just
these
have
car
to have.
plants that we've closed car plants over the years. Reopen these car plants and start making them here.
And one of the things that he gets frustrated with China, and another reason why Mexico caught part of it, is because China will just go produce shit in Mexico and then bring it in to the U.S. with the Mexico tariff instead of the China tariff.
Well, that's why if people are wondering why he tariffed every country, because people are like, oh, he tariffed this island that doesn't have any humans on it. He just did it across the board so China can't go to that island and ship out of that island.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And people are like, well, that's stupid that he did that. I go, well, this is why he did it. Because they backdoor it. They did the same thing anytime, like back when they put sanctions on Russia. They ran it all through Ukraine, back and forth. I mean, these countries aren't stupid.
No, it's like you see the tag that says assembled in the U.S. versus made in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why, if you're wondering why he tariffed every country, I don't care what any economist tells you or tries to, like, that's exactly why. Because they're trying to backdoor it.
I've heard an interesting, that I'm still like mulling around, an interesting argument against broad spread, like intense tariffs, in the form that tariffs are a form of government regulation that just protects industry and doesn't drive innovation. Because you're saying, okay, we're going to make the stuff so expensive that whatever over here, we can just make it however we were making it, and it's going to be able to do it. We're not like, it reduces the incentive to innovate, to use technology, to make them cheaper, make them faster, make them better, and reduce costs, because you have the protection of a tariff that it's going to be X% more or so many dollars more because of because of that tariff.
So that is an argument. So like, I would say I'm libertarian, but I can't be fundamentalist libertarian, because a fundamentalist libertarian would say that you let the market do whatever the market does, right? Well, China's strength is slave labor. So it's a race to the bottom on price. I don't necessarily know that we needed to have a race to the bottom on price. I believe that a tariff in there to balance stuff out is good, right? So there is this balance, and that's the whole problem with the government is that sometimes we have to feel pain, but they won't let us. Right? Like sometimes you have to crash. Sometimes you have to feel pain. Sometimes the economy has to go in the shitter. Like that's all part of how the capitalism fixes itself. If housing prices go up too much and people quit buying houses, they come down. If people quit buying, they come down again. But then people freak out. The housing market's crashed. So then they try and pump money into the house. Like, no, like you have to be a little patient sometimes. But I think part of it with the innovation is he's trying to bring those innovative companies back here too.
So yeah, if it's like a short term thing, I can see how you could try to drive some of that back. But
with a $5 million basically green card,
The gold cards.
Yeah, the gold cards.
We get gold cards.
You can buy one if you're a foreign and you have $5 million and you have something to offer the country. You can buy citizenship that way.
Yeah. But they've always done it, but it was at a much less.
He's already sold how many of them?
He sold 1,000 of them the first day or something.
Yeah, if it's basically like, what do you have? If you have something to offer this country and you're worth a certain amount of money, you can just buy your way in.
What validates that you have something to offer?
It's. I mean, if I
you have to have $5 million to buy it.
Okay,
That's the first.
so I mean, that's something, but
yeah.
They're typically, I think, going to be probably like Indian, Middle Eastern, Asian, like people coming in that are like usually involved in like tech.
Which is funny because have any of you guys ever been to like Ellis Island?
Yeah,
Or seen the books at Ellis Island?
Yep.
Like, people get offended about things. Like when you came to Ellis Island, dude, it was like, where are you from? Where are you going? Do you know that person? Do you have communist beliefs? Are you polygamist? Like, there was no holds barred. Yeah. What, like, basically, like, how much money do you have? What do you have to offer this? Like, it was like no holds barred, and the people now were like, you can't ask. I was like, dude, they asked a lot. And then if anybody watched like 1923, that chick got straight fucking like raped like 4 times coming through. Not rape, but like the doctor went over her quite a few times.
Yeah.
Just to become a citizen.
No, just to get in the country.
Or yeah, just to get in the country to go find her husband. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So people are like, they can't do this. Oh yeah. It used to be worser.
So the other one that I've been kind of mulling around is like trying to like define what is or what should be like the U.S. culture, right? Because I think we have this thing where people come over and we're not trying to assimilate, right? It's people are still trying to hold on to whatever culture they came from, right? And not saying that some of those are bad, but they come together. But it's not the U.S. culture, right? The U.S. culture is like innovation, right? We want greatness. We're striving for prosperity.
Winners.
Yeah, we want all these things.
Hard work.
Yeah, so we want hard work and effort and honesty, integrity, and like these are the things that we are trying to pull together. And so we need, like, I think the U.S. does have and should have a U.S. culture, but I guess the thing that I've been thinking about is just like if we were trying to define that, like if you're trying to describe what U.S. culture is that people should be assimilating to. Like how would you define that, or how would we put that into words?
I think
we have to answer. But
well, I think the biggest thing about U.S. culture is hard work. Like if you work hard enough, you can succeed, and that success isn't like everyone gets a goal, gets the trophy, everyone becomes Elon, everyone becomes Jeff Bezos. That's not. It's everyone has the opportunity to live a nice middle class life, where you have freedom and you have choice and you have all these things. I think a lot of immigrants do a good job of assimilating. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of Hispanics do a good job of assimilating in, and then we blend cultures. Mm-hmm. Like we take a little bit of, we take their taco. You know what I mean? Like,
but you know what's funny is, but then you can't have and you hear it from like a lot of like super fucking lefties, like, oh, that's cultural appropriation. No, I think when you do a lot of things, like when you copy things, it's a sign of respect. Like you like what they're, you know what I mean? Like,
well, some of their things are so stupid because they don't even know where the culture comes from. Like they're like, white people can have braids hair. Well, it was called the Nordic braid, bitch. I don't think those were like I'm just saying, like, I hate the term cultural appropriation.
Well, I mean, that goes
I
back to
freaking hate it because, okay, what if you put a weave in and you have straight blonde hair and you're a black lady? Are you culturally appropriating? So no, you're just, who gives a shit? Like that term just pisses me off. Yeah. Just pisses me off.
But yeah, I like the idea of blending. You're taking things that you like or respect from a culture. Like, I mean, you look at like the whole team names, you know, like the Redskins. Like usually they pick something that represents something powerful to represent their team. They're not doing it to like.
That's why a lot of natives wanted that to stay.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think it's funny when they're like, oh, they're culture. Yeah. No, they're not. They're just like, it's like when kids dress up as like cowboys and Indians. Like, well, that's like cultural. Why? Why? Because he bought the costume at the. You know, who cares?
No. I absolutely hate that term because I think it's stupid. I think that we're a blend. The beauty about the United States is if you watch the Olympics, if you watch the Summer Olympics and you go see the German team, it's typically German people. If you see the Chinese team, it's Chinese people. If you see the team from Uganda, it's Uganda people. If you see the team from the United States, you have no fucking idea what country they're from until they put the U.S. flag up because it's everybody. Mm-hmm. And that to me is what America is. Is that no matter where you come from, what color you are, what race you are, it doesn't matter. If you work hard, you can succeed. You can't do that everywhere. If you're in China and they just deem you as a rice paddy worker when you're 6, you're a rice paddy worker. You don't have the opportunity to climb. You just don't. And that's the way it is in communist countries. That's the way it is in Russia. Like, what was John said? I think you were telling a story where John was talking with someone from Russia. And they were like talking about training, and John was like, "Oh, you get to do this all the time, or whatever." The guy goes, "Well, you get to have a choice." It was something like that, right? Like, well, you get the choice to do it. Like, I don't. Yeah. So yes, I have all the tools in my toolbox.
Like, I get to do everything associated with this, but like, it's not my choice.
Right. Yeah. Like that's the beauty about America is that anybody can do anything, and the blending of America. And now, to me, it's like mainly liberals want to divide us. Like they want to talk about everything that makes us different, like push us away from each other. It's like, no, we were doing like the 90s for all the fucking chaos the 90s were. I felt like that was the time where there wasn't a whole lot of feelings. It was just like a lot, and there were still problems. Don't get me wrong. The
but it was
Rodney
more
King
of like
riot,
a united goal. Like we were a people, right? We had like common goals, common drives, common values, and that's I think the part that like defining that, coming back to an agreement of like, hey, here's our common values and our common goals as U.S. citizens. Like anyone that wants to come over and contribute to those, fuck yeah, let's party, man. Like let's do it.
Yeah, I think you look at like, did you guys ever watch Shark Tank? I'm sure at some point everybody's watched Shark Tank. That Robert Herjavec or whatever, and he talks about his parents. Like they came over with nothing and they like worked to started a business. And like that to me is like how you assimilate. You just like work hard to contribute to society, to help your, you know what I mean? Contribute to society. And by doing that, you're helping your neighbor and your family, you're taking care of them. And you can choose your own path to success. It doesn't matter what you're good at. Everybody's good at something. And I think part of this goes back to the whole, everybody's a winner. Nobody knows what they're good at if somebody keeps lying to you and telling you that you're good at something.
Yes.
I've said that forever. Oh, your kid is great at basketball. No, he can't walk and fucking chew gum at the same time. He's bad. But how do you know he's not like a world champion chess player or a mathlete or something? You know what I mean? And this kid could go on, but no, you've been lying to him forever. So then when someone does finally tell him he's bad, they can't fucking handle it. And they just like shut down and their whole life goes in. You know what I mean? Like, but be honest with people. But yeah, I think just coming here with the drive to be successful and contribute to society, no matter what you're doing, I think the best assimilation or what we're all common goal we're going for.
And I get super
to be awesome.
I get super pissed that all these people. I get super pissed that all these people are like, well, if we get rid of illegals, who's going to pick your crops and work in the meatpacking plants? I said, why is it okay to exploit people knowingly, to underpay them and put them in shitty conditions because you know they're illegal?
Dude, I've said multiple times, they're talking about like some of these Hispanics, whatever. I will trade any hardworking Hispanic for a shitbag American any day of the week. They can trade Social Security numbers. I don't give a fuck what they do. Ship the shitty people. They're shitty people in every race here. Ship all them fucking people somewhere else, and we'll take fucking good ones from the other culture.
To me, it just...
I don't want to build I'm not like, like Hitler had his whole superior race. I just want like a superior fucking...
Society.
Like people who just want to be awesome. I don't care where you're fucking from. What it's like when you go to the club, one in, one out. Fucking, oh, that dude's a hard worker. All right, well, you've been a shitbag for like 10 years. Fucking see you later, dude. You're out. Fucking later.
I was actually very similar to this. Like, I don't understand the need for war all the time. Like, what
people think that's how you generate an economy. Like, well, statistically, that's how your economy flourishes. And I was like,
I'm just like, wouldn't it be just way better if everyone worked? And I understand that this is some fucking utopian bullshit, but like, it just seems like when there's peace, there's way more prosperity. Like the people prosper, like the middle class prospers, right? When there's war and there's chaos, it's just the rich prosper.
Was there any war in the 90s? Because Desert Storm kind of ended towards like the early 90s though, right?
90, let's see. I was in like 6th grade. So I don't know, like 91.
Yeah, so from 91 to like, we weren't in like a full on war until 2001, right?
I think Russia invaded Crimea.
But I'm just talking about like the U.S. like hardcore involvement.
I don't think so.
And so, so when people are like, well, we need war drives the economy, like we were saying, the 90s seemed pretty fucking solid, and there was no war for like 10 years that the U.S. was heavily involved in.
Well, it was the last time we had a balanced budget. Okay. Also, if you go back,
what was during war or after the war?
In the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Clinton was the last time we had a balanced budget. We had a surplus. Clinton was also very, very hard on the border. Mm-hmm. Okay,
but you know what? A Democrat that everybody liked. Okay, Clinton was probably one of the last times.
He to me, I think he's the best president of my lifetime. I think he's better than, I would say Reagan has a lot of good things. There's a lot of things that Reagan did that pissed me off long term. I don't know what the short term goal was, but the long term effect has had
Clinton was one of the last across the aisle guys.
Yeah, but he had to because
and the ladies.
Yes,
and uncross the legs.
Yeah, across the aisles and uncrossed legs.
He had to because of Newt, and the Republicans had Congress, right? Newt Gingrich was Speaker of the House, and they did a good job of balancing things out. He was also very tough on the border. He also slashed the federal government a lot. There's a lot of things that Clinton did that Trump's doing. Trump just does it in a way that with social media and the access to media all the time, and just this like fear mongering bullshit and all the other stuff. Like, there's a lot of similarities between at least the end goal, or at least part of the goal, between Trump and Clinton. That was the last time, once again, we had a surplus. It was the last time. So, like, I don't know why everyone's so mad. Just go back and listen. Like, if you're a Democrat, go back and listen to Bill Clinton in the 90s, talk about the border and talk about the federal government and talk about all these things.
Well, he tried to do Doge then, basically.
Yes.
They had that out, and they had that press conference in front of the White House, and he had all those files sitting there.
Right. Like, there's a lot of similarities, right? But honestly, I think Clinton probably at some point in time was compromised in a blackmail scheme that's still going on today. And then then he's changed afterwards. I think there's a lot of people that are compromised. I honestly think that RFK Jr. right now is compromised.
He's your guy too.
I know, and I'm very disappointed, but I think he might be compromised in some kind of blackmail. I've seen some things posted by people that I have come to trust their opinion.
Why do you think he's compromised? Because he's not doing what he said he was going to do, or what?
So for the last 2 weeks, I've been hearing about this blackmail thing on RFK, possibly to something to do with like a sexting thing with someone that was in his campaign, blah, 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 blah. And then 4 days ago, he comes out and says the best way to stop the spread of measles in Texas is the MMR vaccine, when I can show you, I don't know, a dozen papers on what he thinks about the MMR vaccine and the dangers behind the MMR vaccine. So yeah. To me, it's just like when I see something like that now, I'm like, okay, blackmail. Like, there has to be. Because honestly, like, if you're in Washington for probably 15 minutes, someone probably has something on you. That's the thing that cracks me up so much about Trump, is everyone's talking about how bad of a person he is. If he was that bad, if he was that terrible as a human, do you know how much stuff would be out there? It is 2025. There's nothing hidden.
Yeah. Yeah. Washington's really scammy, but back to the whole market thing. It's just not the end of the world. Let's just all fucking chill out there.
Yeah. So you were talking about war and not having war. I had to remind myself. So there was, I think I brought it up, but there's a game theory scenario called the prisoner's dilemma.
Yep.
And that's exactly, it just has like two people, and essentially like there's different points awarded if they cooperate, if one cooperates and one betrays, or if they both betray. And the best scenario for everyone.
Explain all the points. Yeah, because this is actually a very good thing.
So like it's a game theory that's out there. And so essentially it's set up that there's two prisoners, they're put in different rooms and they're questioned. If neither one of them says anything, i.e. they cooperate, they both get 1 year in jail. So essentially you get 1 point. If one betrays and one cooperates, the betrayer goes free, the cooperator gets 2 years. The cooperator gets 3 years in jail. And if they both betray, they each get 2 years. So you'd think, oh, well, my best bet, I might have a better chance of going free if I betray. So, but Tanner's going to think the same thing, right? So now you both betray. Well, fuck. Now you both get 2 years, right? But if we both sit there and we stay in silent, i.e. cooperate and don't snitch, then we each get 1 year, which is the lowest that we can get from there. Right. And so it's this game theory that they've run gazillions of simulations. They've done tons of stuff with AI doing it and people against people. And consistently, the best outcomes are the scenarios in which there is the highest level of cooperation in there.
But it's not the highest outcome. The highest outcome for you individually is to always betray.
Yes. So if you always try to betray,
well, how does this transfer over to war here? I guess you got to explain.
Well, but it's like the nuclear. It's like the nuclear. It actually goes into like the nuclear arms.
Yeah.
race.
So that's kind of where they played in. But like, so in the war situation, like in the war, you're not cooperating, right? So people are causing war because I want something that you have, and I don't want whatever you're offering. Like, I don't want that, so I'm just going to try to take it from you. And in those war game scenarios, the people who do the war and try to bring that on, unless you can just come, if I can come in and crush Tanner, like outright, that would be the same as me betraying and him cooperating, because he can't fight back enough. So I win. But if you fight back, then that would be equivalent to betraying. So he's betraying, I'm betraying, and we both end up losing. So we dump in so many resources that whenever I finally win, it's not worth it anymore.
Okay. So what happens is, like, the whole theory behind it is that for your self-preservation, you should always fight. you should always betray. Okay, that will give you the opportunity to have the highest, right? But if you both do it, you have the lowest. However, if you both cooperate, you're in the middle. But the fear is if you don't cooperate, you're below it. So like cooperation leads to the best outcome for both people. But if either side fights, if either side betrays, then they can be ahead of you. So it's a trust issue, right? That's where that's why cooperation leads to the best outcomes for everybody. But a lot of times it could screw you if you decide to cooperate and they betray you, then you're screwed. So the safest way for your self-preservation is to always fight instead of to cooperate.
Yeah, and so I'd encourage you guys to go look the study. I don't know, I can probably find it here in the next couple minutes, but there's one where they sent this out to a bunch of different programmers, and I think they had 20 different programs that were submitted, and they each had a different strategy. So one was called like tit for tat. So like, I will cooperate until you don't. And so as soon as you don't cooperate, then I will betray and stuff. And then I will continue. And then if you cooperate the next round, cool, then I'll cooperate and stuff. And so but there's all these different strategies. And when you look at the outcome, the ones that score the highest mutually are the ones where both parties are cooperating the most.
But tit for tat was the best one, I think.
I think that, I can't remember which one. That might have been the best one.
I think tit for tat's like the best one, to where like we start off cooperating, but as soon as one of us betrays, then the other one betrays, and then you don't come back, but then you're always lose.
Yeah, but if you
But tit for tat, you always lose because you're always one behind.
Yeah, but if both
Whoever
parties,
starts the tit for tat first.
Yeah.
yeah.
wins.
So if both parties are tit for tat, then you're fucked, because then you're just going to keep betraying each other.
Yeah.
But if there's these different scenarios, like there's
Tit for tat plus 2, or
there's all these different scenarios that go in there. But essentially, it's like, cool, retaliate, but retaliate, restrained. Like, don't just go full out retaliation. Like, there's one of them that will cooperate, and then as soon as you betray, then fuck you. It's just going to
it betrays forever
until the end of the scenario.
It really is a
But basically, this whole idea is to show that there's always going to be some kind of war because no one trusts anybody.
right, because it comes down to trust. But
And
honestly,
power.
if we had a peaceful time,
It's actually based off power. Because if nobody cared about overall power, then it would just stay that one doesn't have the upper hand on the other one.
You can use it just in the U.S. and in our election cycles, right? Like, we're starting to get into cycles where we're just going back and forth, and so we are in tit for tat right now, where we're just going back and forth and back. But it's stupid because it's only hurting us, the collective people. Like, sure, the left might win here, and then the right wins, and then the left wins, and the right, and so we go like this. But we're all the same team, and so tit for tat against ourselves is just fucking stupid.
Well, and that's where I've always said, and Amber and I'll talk about it, like, even if you don't like the president, wanting the president to fail is wanting the country to fail.
right?
Why would you ever cheer against the, you know what I mean? Like,
I will say I think you're wrong, but I hope it works.
oh, I thought you were like me. I was like, no.
No,
like I've always said, no matter who the president, if they walked in the gym right now, I don't care who it is, I'm still going to respect that person because they're still the president of the United States.
Yeah, I don't want any. I would love if our Congress didn't fail, and I don't care who's in charge.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't fail, it means we're all good.
Because they should all, like I was talking to Jay the other day, deep down, they should all have the fucking American people's best interest is what they're supposed to be there
right,
for.
we're a team.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't care what side you're like. What was the dude, the Democratic congressman who kind of bailed out the Republicans a few times last year? The guy from, was he with Louisiana or where was that guy from?
No, he's from West Virginia.
West Virginia. What was his name?
Virginia. A young.
But yeah, he was one of the guys who voted with the. He was.
No.
He was a pretty middle of the road, but he helped us out on a few different votes. Helped the right out on a few different votes.
He did screw a couple things up, but it was because his. I think he's West Virginia, and it's because he has coal mine.
Yeah.
He has a lot.
But he
of coal
voted
miners.
kind of across party a few times on some like common sense things he voted for that gave the Republicans the right amount of votes. But anyway,
Yeah.
overall, it's a fucking team game. You should never cheer for the government to fail.
I would just love, I would love
I
to
just want
see.
them to actually care about the American people.
I would love to see a vote that just wasn't.
All one and all the other.
Like I would just love to wear okay, that you have to show that you have to be a U.S. citizen to vote should have been everybody.
Right.
Should have been everybody.
Well,
right? Like that shouldn't be
and
political.
I don't care what kind of stats where they're like, well, there hasn't been that many cases. Well, there should be 0 cases.
Should be, yeah.
You know, and kind of like the thing that I'm also confused on right now is where Trump is supposed to facilitate bringing that guy back from El Salvador.
I don't think he will.
But when the first way you're describing him as is an illegal alien, he came here illegally. Just because we deported him back to the wrong country, that I feel like that's at least he got a ride. You know, at least he got a ride.
You don't got to go home. You just can't stay here.
Basically, that's what I would. You know, and it's just like, but they're how they try to like, if the first word of anything you're describing is illegal, I feel like that's where
that's why they don't describe him as illegal. They describe him as undocumented.
Yes. But anyway, now we're going down on a whole different thing. But anyway, back to the market in general. Just fucking chill out. Even if you're retiring right now, we talked about this. Even if you're retiring tomorrow, you're not pulling all of your stocks out at the same time. Some of them are going to ride in there. If you have mutual funds, you're taking disbursements. You're not just pulling everything out into your you don't just retire and withdraw everything from the market and put it in your savings account.
Maybe.
I doubt that. That'd be a massive tax burden for a lot of people.
Well, not if you had a post-tax.
I get that, but I'm just saying overall. So just chill out. The market's going to ebb and flow. If you're going to try to base your life off the market, your life is going to be very anxious.
Well, I think that all the stuff we talked about is kind of all still tied in with the market because the market's emotional, right? And the market has been political, and how it's described to you via whatever news source you're looking at is also political. We don't have news anymore. You have news entertainment, right?
Just opinion pieces.
Right. So, like I said, if you just want to look at it, just pull up your stock app, hit the 5-year button, and watch it. Let's look at what it did. This is nothing new. It's nothing even weird. And it's actually necessary to have market corrections when things go up too high. Well, that's the design of
If you want to look at it real crazy, what was it when Trump came into office his first term? It was like at 19,000? I think. And now it's like at 40,000?
38, 30.
I mean, it's doubled in the last 10 years. Yeah. So you should be pretty pumped about that.
I think there is some correlation to the market's action and I think what they label as consumer confidence, right? So if I'm an investor,
oh, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But that's where the whole point is like you shouldn't necessarily have to use that for confidence because it doesn't control.
It's a mild direction of how people feel.
So like actually to pull up the 10-year one, it's
nothing but go up. There's been
I mean it's only going to go
dip?
up.
Was that dip 2020 where the hard dip was that? Was that COVID?
Yeah, it was 2020, and then there's a couple little dips. Like that's just the way it is.
Right. I mean, if you want a real wild ride, like look at Bitcoin. I know, like I watched that one just because I have some money in it now. Dude,
yeah, if you want to live a real life of anxiety, get into Bitcoin and try to be like a day trader in it.
Do you know what Bitcoin was in COVID?
A way to buy drugs and
$4,000. $4,000. What's it right now?
60, isn't it?
No, it's close to 80.
Well, it could, whatever you thought it was yesterday, could be 10,000 different today.
It's like 85.
85
right now.
It was $4,000 in 2020. Yeah. $4,000.
A dude bought a pizza for 21 Bitcoin back in like whatever it was, 2013 something.
Well, there was an NFL football player who took his contract in Bitcoin.
That was just in the last like 4 or 5 years. I think.
Yeah. Well, there was
a part of his contract in Bitcoin.
A guy who had a hard drive.
Yeah, was that the one that's in the dump?
In the dump, yeah.
In the UK?
Yeah.
And he's trying to, didn't he try to buy the dump? Yeah, to find it.
Dude, he has paid so many people, or he has offered, like anyone who gets it gets half. Alex Jones threw, I think, lost 10,000 Bitcoin. I think when they were doing Bitcoin, they gave him a jump drive on his it wasn't a podcast then, on his show, InfoWars. Then they gave him 10,000 Bitcoin. He doesn't know where it's at. 10,000.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just wild. But I think there's some mild correlation between what the market's doing and
there's way too much
stuff.
Correlation.
But like, you can't look at it on a daily, right?
No.
If you're just, it's direction. Like, if you were to look over the course of 2 years and you see some kind of like steady decline, it's like, okay, there's probably a little more to that story. But if you're looking at it on like the daily, weekly, even monthly, like
it's kind of like the government. What the government does on a daily, weekly doesn't really affect your life on a daily, weekly basis. Like if you get all riled up by the news, Yeah, but you know what? We all still get up. We go to work. We get our paycheck. We pay our bills. We hang out with our family and friends. World keeps on spinning.
Well, the funny thing was, it was like I saw it the other day. It's like oil is at a low. It's under $60 a barrel or something, right? And fucking gas station wasn't. Like the gas station was still over $3. Now the gas station has gone down today, right?
Yeah.
But like it's the same thing. It's like it's always just lagging a little bit. Like and the problem is that it depends where you're at in your emotional roller coaster with it of where you're at in that. I'm like, a couple days ago, I'm like, why the fuck is it down? I'm like, oh, it's down 30 cents today. You know what I mean? Like, if I was really worried about,
I honestly have no idea how much gas.
I just pull up and get gas because it's not like I'm not going to.
I found like I do that too often. Like I don't know. I'm like,
but don't you look down and be like, oh, that's the
no.
Well, I just know my gas station in
because you know what? Are you gonna
gas station?
But are you gonna not get it?
I got two. No,
you know what I mean. That's why I don't even look.
Because pays more attention. Like I should.
That's like my dad used to be like, oh, fucking, you go across town, gas is 2 cents cheaper. Well, I gotta drive across town then.
Paul, you lived in a town. What was across town? A mile?
Still. Anyway, you know, just don't worry about the market. It's nice weather. It's barbecue season. Go make some barbecue, make some good food, and stop worrying about the stock market. Just enjoy.
Have you made anything good recently? Or anything bad?
Well, I did learn that I need to clean my drum smoker out because it made my brisket taste kind of weird.
Okay.
And I did those mayo wings. I'm a big fan of those.
I did those last night. I didn't smoke them. I put them on the regular grill, but like just did wings and like rubbed them in mayo.
Juicy.
Good.
That's super good.
Good. They get crispy.
You mayo at the end?
No,
Beginning.
you paint it, you paint some mayo on it lightly, and then you season them.
Okay.
And it like traps the juice in there.
Yeah.
Huh.
I just had like
Of course.
I don't know.
We're not communists.
I don't know if there's any other. I don't.
I
didn't
used to
know,
be a hell-
I didn't know
I'll
there
try
was
it.
a difference until Duke's, and I'm like, okay.
And I might try, if I try different, I might try that blue apron that Malcolm uses because he likes to eat a lot. So
I usually trust
Yeah,
fat
when your
guys' opinions
fingertips
of
can't
food.
touch, you're good.
yeah, but yeah, go out there, do some barbecue. Don't worry about the stock market because it's not all that it is, all that they say it is.
Buy low, sell high.
Yeah.
Duh.
You guys got anything else?
Just follow Pelosi's stock trades. You'll be fine.
Yeah. All right, guys. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you next time.